1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check, check. All right.
Is mine all right? Good afternoon. Welcome. 1 o'clock Tuesday. Here we are for Ponderings, and you can tell that Rebecca's not here today. We have a distinguished visitor with us today, Charlie Fiddler.
Glad to be here.
Is Charlie your real name?
Charles,
Charles
is my given name. But, I mean, you know just as well as I do that when your name is Charles, you go by all sorts of names.
My youngest grandson, he's the fifth, so he's Charles Edward Owens the fifth. Call him Charlie.
Yeah.
And I always called him, when he was a little fella, started calling him Charlie Boy. You know,
Charlie
but can't call you Charlie Boy, 'cause Charlie Man.
Yeah.
Huge man. Yeah. Charlie was a real special little fella. Quite the young man now too. He'll be a senior in high school this year at Daniel High School up at Clemson, and
Okay.
very excited about that. And
Yeah.
great to see the little ones grow up.
Yeah, it is.
Now, your last name is Fiddler. Have you seen the fiddler crabs in this area?
I have. Yeah. We saw when we came down and visited. We went, and there's that big sign right next to the historic campus. It says, "Follow the fiddlers."
Follow the fiddler. That's a big. People catch that and use it as fish bait.
Yeah.
For particularly sheep's head.
Okay.
So tell us where you came from. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure.
And then I'll ask questions and pull out
Yeah.
the
Sounds
stuff you
good.
don't want people to know.
Sounds good. Well, just moved down here from Wilmore, Kentucky, because previously to this, I was at Asbury Seminary for the last 4 years, both as a full-time student and a full-time employee there.
What were you? Why were you there as a student? What were you studying, and what was the intent of all? What was your idea in going there?
Yeah. So I am actually technically still a student there. I'm in my third to last course right now, finishing up online, working towards both a Master's of Divinity and a Master's of Theology and Biblical Studies.
Whoa.
Yeah, so a couple degrees. One's a graduate level, one's a postgraduate level in biblical studies, in ministry, and in especially with the Masters of Theology in language and studying language in the Bible. And
Wow.
my goal with that is kind of twofold. One, to serve the church, but two, I want to teach eventually. So I really have a passion for teaching and
Teaching on the college level? Is that what you have in mind?
Yeah. That's the goal eventually. But we'll see. This is where God has us now. I've always done AV stuff, and
Now, how did you say always? When did you start doing that?
I started doing that when I was 12.
Really?
Yeah, working with people at a church in Colorado, and when I was 14, they made it official and gave me an internship at the church. Started paying me when I was 16, and basically I've worked full time.
What were you doing when you were 16?
I was working for a church, helping them manage all of their AV stuff with both their main services and their youth services, and also helping them manage their outreach AV. I worked for a while with a church plant in inner city Denver, where it was a plant mainly with the Hispanic community there. And
Now, what do you mean outreach AV? What does that mean?
it was helping with tech and just the general ministry needs of that church plant, and seeing that through ministering to people. And
So how did you even get into that when you're like 14 years old and stuff? I mean, what got you interested in that? Were you a video game guy and all that?
I wasn't. I'm a musical guy. I play a few instruments, like music a lot.
What
yeah.
do you play?
I play bass, piano, guitar. In school I played bari sax and bassoon. And messed around on the organ a little bit. I have an upright bass at home. Might play with the Grace Time crew sometime. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Was your family musical?
Somewhat. I think my family wanted to be musical, but didn't have a lot of training. But I got some training and really enjoyed that. And so I started, connecting with people on the youth group at the church I was at had a worship team. And then I started to figure out how to do the tech stuff to help that out and help the worship team, do the things that they needed to do. And eventually that was, well, I'm good at this and I enjoy doing this. I'll help in the main services too. And I had a couple pastors and staff members kind of take me under their wing and train me up. And eventually, when I graduated high school, I had a couple people that I had worked with at that church that had moved to Kansas to serve a larger church there. And they offered me a job to come out there, and the school that was down the street offered me a full ride scholarship to come and study pastoral ministry there, and it was perfect. It was the two things that I wanted to do was study ministry and the Bible and serve the church, and God has shown me ways to do that the whole way through. So
now, how do you plan to use those skills here?
Yeah, so I am the new AV director here at Church of the Cross.
Full-time, I might add.
Full-time.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a first for us. We've had lots of pieces and all, but so much going on now. We need someone to pull everything together.
Right, and that's the goal. The goal is to pull everything together, to use the experience I have in the church and the academy and with tech to try and help us forge a path forward and build a team to support the ministry here at Church of the Cross. Now, and honestly, that's the biggest thing right now is building a team. There's some technical things that we need to get worked out and some changes to be made, but really the goal is to help the congregation to serve themselves, right? To be as part of the congregation to help raise up new leaders in technology and new people to serve, and it doesn't have to be
so
hard.
So what kind of people are you looking for when you say we want to build a team and people to help serve? Are there specific things you're looking for?
The only thing I'm looking for is somebody that wants to show up and is interested. You don't need any experience. I guess the one thing that I ask for is to be able to move a mouse and click. And most people can do that.
Yeah, most people are way past that. They can do they can do the machines.
Yep. Anything beyond that is something we can train. If it's something you're not comfortable with, we have a spot for everybody right now. It's not difficult, it's not hard, but we need people. We need people to show up and say, hey, I want to be a part of the team.
And we'll commit. So when they say they're going to show up, they'll show up. Right.
But we don't need people to show up every week. In fact, what we want is a team with depth, right? A team where we have, hey, we could call on 3 people that do this regularly. If somebody is sick, we have, Shirley could come and do it.
So your idea would be maybe somebody serving once a month in a particular thing. That
Absolutely.
idea. So you've got a breadth of people and a depth of people at the same time.
Yeah. Serve once or twice a month. Get to know people that are serving alongside you, and I want to care pastorally too, right? I think that's part of the unique gift set that I have in education is to come along and not only to build a tech team, but to build a team that it's a subset of the church, and we're working closely together.
Like a small group.
Exactly.
That idea.
Yeah.
Now you said us several times. Who's the other person that makes the us?
Yeah, my wife, Camille, is still up in Kentucky for the time being, but Camille is coming down in a week or two.
And she's going to school too, right?
Yeah, Camille just graduated with a master's in clinical mental health counseling.
And what's the goal? What's her area of real interest in that?
The goal is mental health counseling for mostly community mental health, so for underserved populations and for at-risk populations. I think Camille wants to take a break from that world for maybe a year or so and find a job that's a little slower paced for a time, just because school and getting a master's and doing an internship and working at the same time is taxing.
The internship, she's working with people now, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yep, she is working with children at an inpatient facility for children in Kentucky. So she has clients from 6 years old to 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, but
that that would take a toll on your emotions, working with little people that have problems.
Right, and it's difficult, and Camille shared that with me some, but I'm really proud of the work that Camille is doing, and excited.
Did y'all meet there at Asbury?
We met at the school that I went to for undergrad, and that Camille also went to for undergrad in Kansas, McPherson, Kansas. Camille got a degree in psychology, and I got a degree in pastoral ministry, and we met there, and then moved to Asbury together. Got to both go to school and at the same place, and Camille got a job working in a wood shop, painting and sanding shelves and managing some.
Was that just the job in the wood shop? Is that something that she liked to do as a hobby, or it was just a job to help support the thing?
Camille had experience in painting and sanding, and so it was a good fit, but it was also a pastor that had retired and was doing well on Etsy and needed help, and so it's been a good fit. And
so are you anything with woodworking and sanding and painting and all that kind of stuff?
I am a fine rough carpenter. I can
emphasis
put
on
stuff,
rough.
Yeah, I can put stuff together in a way that it works, but it doesn't look pretty. Camille makes it look pretty.
So she's the finished carpenter kind
exactly.
of thing.
Yeah.
That's the way we've got folks in the church. Mike Grace is one that just comes to mind, right? And he's a painter and sheetrock finisher and all that kind of stuff, you know. And he said that's his big job, is to come in behind the carpenters and fill in the holes and smooth it over, paint it up, and it all looks like the carpenters were experts in what they did. And most of them are real good, but it's just there's another notch up.
Right. I'm used to working behind the scenes in places that aren't front facing, where people don't see, and all it needs to be is it just needs to work, and it needs to be convenient. And so I know how to use a drill and a hammer and a saw, and I can put things together, but I need some help in making it look good afterward.
Now, was it hard for you to find a place to live for y'all here in Boston?
Yeah, it wasn't easy, especially doing it from afar, right? Doing most of it online.
Is housing here more critical than it is in Kentucky?
It's much more expensive here.
How about availability?
It's also much less available. There were waiting lists all over the place. We were pretty lucky and blessed to get the place that we got when we got it. But I mean, it is close to 4 times as expensive as we were paying in Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah.
4 times?
Yeah. We had a great deal with the school in Kentucky.
Was it student housing?
It was married student housing. So it was a townhome similar to the one we're in now. But yeah, it's a different world down here.
So you weren't really on the economy. You were in college housing. It's not like you're out in the community.
Yeah, it kind of split the difference. It was set similar to the market, but cheaper. But we also had shopped around in the market there for a bit. So it was about 3 times more expensive than similar places in Kentucky. So.
Wow. Well, now, what are you most looking forward to living down here, other than the work, other than your occupation?
Well, I'll tell you, last Saturday I went to the beach, and it was like 80 degrees and sunny, and there was wind the whole time, and the water was 78, and I sat there and I read a book, and it was incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I know it probably won't be quite that nice.
No, August is coming.
Yeah.
August is coming.
But that was nice, being able to get out.
A lot of folks, the beach is the draw, you know, and they vacation from literally all over the country and many parts of the world to come here. And if it's not the beach, then it's golf. And a lot of great golf courses here. And amazingly, the 3rd biggest draw are the outlets. Yeah. Tanger outlets. Huh. Every spouse does not play golf. And it doesn't, and sometimes it rains like this, and then they go to those outlets down there. Yeah. They're real big in vacation places now. And you see them in Myrtle Beach and other Charleston, all around there. Close to vacation spots seems to be a big hit for it. So. Yeah.
Well, you probably won't find us at the outlets most of the time, but you might find us on the beach or out on the rivers. We've got a couple kayaks, so got to use those a fair amount in Kentucky. We'll hope to find a couple spots down here too.
Well, you haven't been out on your kayak down here yet, though.
Not yet. Waiting for Camille to get down here. I don't want to go out alone.
But you got your kayaks already here?
Yep, we brought them down with the moving truck, got them up in the garage. So, yeah.
There are lots of places that you can put in down here. There's right by the historic church. You see people putting their kayaks in the water right there.
Yeah.
All up and down the May River, that, and paddle boarding. Mm-hmm. A lot of that paddle. You do paddle boarding too?
I haven't. I know my mom really likes it, and Camille has gone paddle boarding a couple times with my mom in Colorado.
So there's those kind of water sports. There's a lot of that here. And what are your kayaks, river kayaks or the ocean kayaks?
They're river kayaks. So we're looking more inland for places, but know a couple people that have ocean kayaks that they're bringing down too. Mm-hmm. So
that'd be good.
Yeah, it'll be good.
So you're glad you're here, I hope?
I am. I'm glad to be here. There's work to be done, and we're working on it.
Well, that's why we brought you. If there wasn't something to do, we wouldn't have been called you.
Yeah.
And coming into a new situation, what are the number one thing and two thing, three things like that when y'all are thinking about moving from Kentucky and you're relocating down here, you don't know anybody, all of that that's taking place. You know, what's the first thing you want to try to do and the second thing you want? As a family, that's one set of 1, 2, 3s, and then here.
Right. Well, I mean, there's small things like figure out where we're going grocery shopping, right? Where we fill up the car for gas usually, and things like that. But we want to get to know the church. We want to get to know the community, and
there's a lot of great people here. I hope you're already meeting some of them.
Yeah, I am, especially on the team. You know, I've spent most of my time meeting various people who are already serving somehow at Church of the Cross, and just trying to ask, hey, what's your perspective on things? What things need to be changed? What things are you thrilled about? And trying to get a sense for how God is working in this congregation already.
Well, on the AV side, I know you've met Alex Perry, and you know he's such a blessing to us and show services, and for a lot of years he's been he and Kim with God's Goods, and then Alex has brought on board John that works on the historic campus 8 and 10, and he's real special too. So you get to meet some folks that have experience like you do, maybe some different kinds of experiences, but they have the same passion for the Lord and the same passion for serving, using those technological gifts that they have.
Yeah,
you know,
it's cool to see the people that God has brought here, and it's cool to think about what's going to come, and the people we don't even know yet.
That's exactly right. Yeah. They come. You know, we add folks virtually every week. We got new people joining the church, and that's so there's always that who's coming around the corner kind of idea.
Yeah.
When you're moving down here, what was the biggest fear you had, or apprehension? Maybe not fear, but apprehension. Anything come to mind? Might not.
I mean, we're leaving a community that we had invested in for the last 4 years, that we had really good friends and really good connections, and luckily we have a couple people that we knew up there that are coming down here, and we're excited about that. But you know, it can be scary to jump into a place where you don't know anybody, right? Yep. And trying to build relationships for the first time, and bring a community around us so that we're... So
you mentioned people coming that are friends. Say a little bit about that now.
Yeah, so we have coming down in a week, David and Christian and Ray. We knew them from school. I know David pretty well, and he's a great guy.
Did y'all have classes together?
We had a couple classes together. We played flag football together, and I did tech while he led worship a lot. And so I got to know him that way. In fact, I played with him a couple times.
And what's his instrument?
He is a phenomenal guitar player, and he plays all sorts of guitar fret instruments. Yeah, he's a good resource to have down here.
I'm taking notes here.
Yeah, and then Dave and Caitlin Fisher, who are coming down in August, have been our best friends in Kentucky for the last
Man, you're bringing a community with you.
Yeah, we are. So we're really, really glad for that and excited about it.
Now, did you know Nathan?
We didn't know Nathan, except we knew a lot of people that knew Nathan. I did.
But he's a a lot of years ahead of you, but
Right.
has
Yeah.
some connections there.
Yeah,
with
he
Asbury.
left a couple years before I got there, but he was the worship coordinator on the chapel team there, and I came in as the technical director, manager of event production and integration there. So I was over the chapel production. So I worked with the same office that he was in just before I had gotten there, the whole time I was at Asbury. So there were connections there. I was able to talk to people who knew Nathan, and I think David already knew Nathan, and Dave had met Nathan once or twice. But
So you've been to the food bank?
yeah, I have a couple times. Just not while the food bank is open. Just been to the Mission Mall and looked around there and seen things.
Big operation there. Food banks. You know, I saw the stats from yesterday, and they had 210 families coming through there yesterday.
That's great. That's a real blessing.
And I think as the economy gets a little tougher, that number's going to keep on going. It was in the 150s and 70s, and bumping up now. We're 200 and something coming through there.
Yeah.
A lot of people bring food to services that then gets picked up on Sundays and taken down there for distribution on Mondays.
Right. Well, and it's not just a blessing to those families that we're serving. It's a major blessing to those families, but it's also a blessing to the church to be able to have something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And to have
and
the
so it takes a
administration.
lot of volunteers for that
Yeah.
as well. And then it also, I don't know if you know that, but God's Goods and the food bank integrate together with the God's Gifts. And there are lots of folks that come to, I want to say there was 100 and something people that went through God's Gifts yesterday.
Yeah. Awesome.
So just that idea of we've got so many people that have been so blessed.
Yeah.
And it's a chance to bless others with the fruit of your own labors, to give and share with others, and then to bless others by being there with a smile and a reach out. That's so that, and there's we're a lot of volunteers at God's Goods, God's Gifts, Food Bank, and as you're moving around and get to meet those people, you might run across some folks who can do those buttons too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Never know.
Well, and we're gonna make a push to just get in front of people and say, hey, if you're interested at all, come talk to us. Come see what we do and see if there's a place for you.
Have you been in God's Goods when it's operating?
I have. In fact, we went and we bought a couple lamps there when we moved in because our new apartment doesn't have a lot of lighting, so we needed some lamps.
I think that's probably the case in many places that you rent now. There's not a lot of overhead lighting.
Right. You got to bring it in.
Yeah.
But so it was good to walk around and see what's there.
And you know all that any kind of proceeds from that all go into mission work.
Yeah.
And it's
great.
$300,000 to $400,000 a year that goes
Yeah.
all into mission. Nothing comes back to the church. It all goes
It's a
into
major
mission
blessing.
stuff. It is. It's huge.
Doing work for the kingdom to go there and.
So what you want to ask me?
What do I want to ask you?
You shouldn't have to think that hard
Yeah,
about it. My goodness gracious.
Well, what?
Tell me, let me ask you something else. Tell people about this right here.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I see lots of, of tattoos these days, but it says mother or dad or something like that. That's a different deal there.
Yeah, this one's a little different. It's actually called the Seal of the Trinity. It's an ancient patristic symbol where it symbolizes who God is, right? So it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in the Latin cardinals, and then it says one God.
Pater, Filius, et Spiritus Sanctus.
Yep, and it says Deus in the middle. They're all God, but they are not each other. It's three persons, one God.
Now, where did you come up with that? I mean, where did you come up with the idea of it being?
Well, it probably dates like 7 years ago in one of the introductory dogmatic textbooks that I was reading, where it said, and at the end of the chapter of the Trinity, here's a nice seal of the Trinity, an ancient symbol of the church, and I just fell in love with it. Over the years, I thought about what I would want to have on it, but I just really like the idea of having, it's almost like having a creed right here.
Yeah. So did you take the picture to the tattoo place?
Mm-hmm. I did, and they worked with it a little bit and added a couple things that I wanted done.
So, but he didn't. the tattoo person didn't freelance with that, and they make some kind of pattern or something to
Yeah.
do that, I think.
Yeah.
That's a really complicated
Yeah.
thing right there.
Yeah. Well, Camille has some cool tattoos too. So she's got one of an astronaut right there. But yeah.
So she want to be an astronaut?
I think she just loves looking up in the sky and space and seeing the things that the astronauts are doing. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you can see the space shuttle going around up there on a pretty
Yeah.
night.
The space station.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
All right, so did you come up with a question for me yet?
I did. So this service here, this building opened just a couple years ago, but it hasn't been that long that you've had people in here.
That's right. So
What?
we opened it up, and 2 weeks later, COVID came.
Yeah.
But the blessing of it was, we built this with the idea of streaming services and all that. So when COVID hit, we had to shut everything down.
Yeah.
We had all the technologies to start going, and so we ran our services from here.
Yeah.
For, oh gosh, it must have been a year before we started.
Yeah.
We're able to get into having people spaced out and sign up for worship services and all that, and it was really a blessing.
Yeah.
That we didn't know COVID was coming, but God planned for it. So
Yeah. So I guess my question is, since you've had people back here, what has surprised you about the nature of this service and the congregation that meets to worship here on Sundays?
well, we built it for, I guess, 2 or 3 reasons. Number one is the online capabilities there. Number two is the historic campus. Parking is just getting so tough over there now. The town
Right.
just keeps taking away more and more and more. And we needed space for traditional worship. And then one of the other things that has surprised me about it is the number of folks who shifted from the historic campus to start worshiping here. We have a fairly substantial group of people who live in Sun City and out toward Beaufort, out toward where you live, out in there, the 29909 zip code. And it's just so much more convenient for them to come here. I mean, it's just a quick shot out of the back gate to Sun City, right down the parkway. Here you are. And you don't have to worry about getting into Bluffton, which is a lot longer, and the park and all the rest of it. And also, we moved the offices here because they're more centrally located for everybody for the very same reason. And we have bathrooms in the building. We have conference rooms here and crying room and that kind of stuff. So even though it looks somewhat similar to the historic campus, it's way bigger, but it's much more up to date than the historic campus is. You know, you've got much wider aisles, and the seating is longer, and the handicapped people are right up front here, and just makes it easier for people to feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great blessing for us, great blessing. And Alex and other folks were involved in determining the kind of AV that we would need in here and working with the providers for that. And I guess some of those providers you'll be working with too as we're upgrading and doing whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah. Some upgrades to be done, but we'll do it.
You just pick at it, and as you, but you got to, I think one of the things that to do is to be here long enough to see how it works.
Yeah.
And then once you understand how it works, because it does work, then you can say, all right, we can fine tune this and that and all the rest of it. You know, if you're going to be a mechanic on an auto engine, you got to know how engines work.
Well, and the good news is, I've been in spaces like this before, and I've worked with a lot of the equipment. So I'm really glad to have had the last few weeks here to kind of get my feet under.
Is the equipment here very different than what you were working with?
There's some pieces here and there. Mostly it's just different brands, but even a lot of the equipment is stuff that I have years of experience on that particular model, and it's been good. But the last 2.5 years of my time at the seminary was really focused on integration work, so designing and installing and commissioning new systems. So I've seen a lot of different systems and seen the insides of them. So I wasn't really surprised by any of the equipment that's in here, but there have been some things as I've been here and observed that I've surprised, like, oh, I wouldn't have chosen to do it that way, and just trying to think through, what does that mean? Is this the right way to do it here? Is this just a patch and we need to fix it eventually? You're trying to make notes and...
All right, so you were there Sunday afternoon for the river baptism.
I was. That was great.
What did you think about all that?
That was really fun.
Had you been into anything like that before?
No, I haven't. I've actually, the closest thing that I've been to was at a church I worked at in Hutchinson, Kansas, where they would go to a water park called Salt City. If you know anything about Hutchinson, Kansas, it's that there's big, enormous salt mines 600 feet below the ground under the whole city. Yep. Salt mines that have been operating for decades and decades. And
they're still operating?
And they are still operating, yep. But part of it is like a museum. So you can go down there and they have archives down there. People send stuff to go store in the salt archives because it's nice and cool and dry down there. So you can go through the archives and out of the corner of your eye, you'll see someone driving a truck through with a bunch of salt that's just been mined out.
Wow.
But anyway, there's a water park there called Salt City that's right on the top of part of the mine. And the church that I was working at every couple of years would have a baptism service where they would get 60, 70 people that wanted to get baptized, and they would take them to the water park and baptize them there.
In the water park?
Yeah.
It has to be salt water.
Yeah, I guess it does. But it's not quite the same as going down on the riverbank into the river.
No, it's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Did you see the boats out there stopping to see what all those crazy people are doing?
Yeah, where are all these people in white robes walking into the river?
What's all that about? Yeah. Very special. That's a once-a-year thing that we do, and it's just a different way to reach out to the community.
Yeah.
And because they can't see what's going on inside the walls, but they can see something like that.
Right.
And if nothing else, just plant some seeds and some curiosity.
Right.
So that's always real special. All right, so coming up now, you're going to be involved Wednesday nights with Nathan's teaching and all the stuff that's going on there. That'll be
I think so.
In the Cross Schools campus.
Yep, I'll be involved there, making sure everything is set up and ready to go.
No, that's not going to be streamed though, but there's still AV stuff.
There's still some stuff to do.
Do with that.
And in fact, that would be a great time to do some training for Sunday mornings. If someone
slid that right back in there by that training, didn't you, huh?
Yeah. If someone says, hey, I want to come up and just see how things work. Wednesday nights is a great no pressure situation, although really there's not a lot of pressure on Sundays either. Yeah. We've got people there that are ready to help. But
now that's important for everybody to keep in mind. That starts the Wednesday. It would be July 6th. July 6th, that first, and it goes 5 Wednesday nights. Like for you to come for all 5, but if you can't, come for 1 or come for 2 or whatever. 6 o'clock is supper, and the whole thing's gonna be through by 8. Nurseries there, programs for little people and youth, and then for adults as well. And it's growing in discipleship is the idea behind all that. And Nathan will be leading it, and Michael Ann and all the folks will be involved with that. But you do need to sign up if you come for supper. If you're not come for supper, then just come. Great opportunity too to reach out to people and invite folks who don't go to church anywhere.
Yeah.
Lord loves them as well. All right. Anything else you want to bring up? Yeah. What you want to bring up? One more thing.
On July 14th, we're going to have a get together for all of our current tech volunteers and people that are interested. We're going to it's going to be 6:30 on that Thursday evening at the Mission Mall. We're going to have a meal, and we're just going to talk about what we're doing here and kind of cast a vision for the AV team. So
July 14th.
July 14th.
Thursday, Mission Mall.
Yep.
What time?
6:30.
6:30.
Yep. And if you have any questions, my email is cfiddler, like the fiddler crabs, at thechurchofthecross.net.
Good plug right there.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing. Thank you for being here with us, John.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Really am.
I'm looking forward to serving the Lord at your side. And you got a great smile too.
Thanks.
How long have you been wearing that beard?
Oh, I don't know. A couple of years before the start of COVID, so 4 or 5 years now.
Really?
But yeah, need to trim it up. But
Your wife's coming. Wife's coming. She'll take care of that for you. Yeah. So anyway, great to have you here.
It's good to be here. It really is.
Blessings, son. Thank you for being here this afternoon with me too.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being with us as well. Lots of things to do. Be sure you get on the webpage, keep up with what's going on. Watch for the EDUs on Thursday afternoons. And we got coming up this weekend, I'll be preaching on this campus. No, I'll be preaching on the historic campus, and Jonathan is over here. Come and worship. And everything we do here, know that God loves you, and I love you as well.